It is the inaugural book festival, the Manchester Fringe Book Festival. We felt it was really important to platform authors that you may not see at mainstream book festivals, but which have got some amazing pieces of literature to share.
We got wind of a letter that was being put together by representatives from Scotland's academic, heritage, arts, cultural, literature sectors, apparently. Now has 164 signatories, 13 anonymous, which is demanding that the National Library take the book back out of the exhibit.
So you're asking how the book was received. So that was a bit, I think a lot of people, including Maya, said to me, that made me cry, that bit. Right. Quite a few people have said, you know, I thought I knew all this, I lived through it, but you've put it together in a way where I can actually follow the threads and found out a lot of stuff I didn't know about.
But I guess my book is more about kind of movements and groups and campaigns. And I guess, so one of the things I wanted to sort of get across was just the sheer kind of, range, diversity within, between and within those movements. And I was really fascinated by the fights, actually.
Lucas and Williams have since apologised for certain aspects of the show, with Lucas saying society has moved on a lot since then. Yet the noughties were not a wasteland in which no one knew that prejudice was bad, but who might be a target. The Little Britain sketches in which responsibility for prejudice is loaded onto the shoulders of middle-aged women already demonstrate this.
So we have a very, very powerful social force that is palpably changing behaviour. And my background's in the women's sector, and I've heard from many women who work in rape crisis centres, who work in domestic violence refuges, who have said that pornography now forms a staple part of the abuse that women are subjected to. And yet there seems to be a total silence about this from those who actually have the power to make change.
For years I've wanted to write about the early Roman Empire, because the conventional view of it is that these women were Machiavellian and manipulative and so on, when actually they were hideously abused. So I sort of brought the two things together in a book, and so it's looking at 23 women in the early Roman Empire.
It was November 2010, so 15 years ago this month, and a taxi driver told me that his pregnant wife had been thrown in prison for a crime she didn't commit. She was the West Byfleet sub-postmaster, and she had been sentenced the week before we spoke, and he was in absolute bits. He was a really, really emotional conversation, but he was utterly convinced that his wife had not done anything wrong.
We have these wonderful authors that have written amazing books, yet they are not platformed in mainstream book festivals. And we might not be able to change that, so we had to put our own on. I really like that the authors interviewed each other, and that was a complete accident that we asked authors to interview each other. So it was wonderful to see Nick Wallis interview Susan Dalgety, for example. That was great. But then we had our Insightful Sisters podcast, women, and they did an amazing job. It went really well. Everybody enjoyed it. We're getting some great feedback. Lots of great comments. I'm getting some DMs on WhatsApp, and people are really enjoying it, and there's still people in the bar now.